Well, you know, all of a sudden we've gone from a plus 22 to a plus 3, marginally on the upside there. Earlier we'd had the Dow, the Nasdaq and the S&P, all of them hitting record highs. Okay, now we're up 5 points. Look at the level, 23,543. Look who's here. Zane Tankel is the name. He's the CEO of Apple Metro. This man runs a few dozen Applebee's in the New York metro area. Frequent guest on the program. I don't know why, but you're always coming back to it. Isn't that right?
I can't figure it out myself.
This tax plan, you've seen it.
Yes.
If it were passed today as is,
yes.
Is it good for Applebee's? Is it good for Applebee's customers? Is it?
So what's good for the country is good for Applebee's. Our tagline is America's favorite neighbor. So we're the largest casual dining concept in America. So if incoming tide rises all boats, correct?
Are you saying it's good for you?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Absolutely.
Because it is a middle-class tax cut, not a 1% tax cut. Yep.
And can I make a point on the macro of it?
Sure.
Because our tax rates, as you well know, are the highest in the world. So capital tends to find its most efficient usages. So multinationals don't build here as a rule because they have to pay more. They have to pay a huge premium to build here. If we reduce our taxes to incentivize multinationals to start building industries here, that's the middle class that gets those jobs, is it not? We always look just at ourselves creating those middle class jobs. They could be created by foreign nationals. They could be created by other industrial complexes. And if we reduce our taxes, we become more competitive on the world stage if we're more competitive on the world.
So you don't care that the 1% will probably end up paying more overall in taxes. That's got nothing to do with your business, nothing to do with your customers and your restaurants. You
know, they're not taking the money from anybody. I didn't grow up rich. I grew up relatively poor.
Yeah.
I always used to think that guy that lived in the big house on the hill, God bless him, I want a house just like his. And I'm going to work real hard to get it. I'm not going to take it from him to get it, but I'm going to build it myself.
This tax deal takes it off them. They will end up paying more in tax.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't resent that the 1% get more or don't get more. I care about what I do.
Okay. I have to ask you about oil, because I know you're an oil and gas guy. You've invested heavily in that area. And I think you're a director on oil company.
I am a director on oil field service.
Why is oil at 56, as of right now, $56 a barrel? Well, I thought American frackers would come in and make sure the prices stayed down in the 40s, but no. What's going on?
Because oil is very fungible all over the world, correct? And the geopolitical issue in the world today is a little upside down in the Middle East, where most of our oil does come from. That missile, well, the missile that came from the Houthis in Yemen into Saudi Arabia.
Let me stop you for a second. There was a missile launched over the weekend from Yemen.
Right.
You say it was the Houthi tribe that did it. Shot it into Saudi Arabia. Didn't get much coverage.
Correct.
But you think that's one of the reasons why oil is going up?
Well, the prince said that is an act of war, quote unquote, when that missile landed. So if that's an act of war, and the Houthis and the Yemens, which is one of the poorest countries in the world, don't have the technical capability to launch that missile. So where would that missile come from?
Iran.
Probably. Who the Houthis are a surrogate army for, correct?
Okay.
So if Iran was behind that, and if the Saudis say this is an act of war, they're not talking to the Houthi tribe in Yemen when they say that, number one. Number two, there is a lot of, now this is speculation, but there is a lot of speculation that the Israelis are kind of advising the young prince, Salman, in terms of the consolidation of power. You also know that they just arrested 10 people.
Right.
So the big arrest there wasn't Walid, who was the flashy big-time businessman. The big arrest there is the head of the National Guard, who is the son of the king. So there's a consolidation of power, and if somebody's advising a 32-year-old crown prince out of how he can put his country together to consolidate this power to respond to the missile, it gets all very complex. But then the Gulf states are involved as well, right?
And the price of oil goes up. Bottom line. Okay. Zane, stay there for a second, because I want to bring in Stephen Schork. He's with the Schork Report. This guy follows the oil market very, very closely. I'm sure you heard this, Stephen. The price of oil going up $56 a barrel right now. Zane Tankel says, well, it's got something to do with that missile that was fired into Saudi Arabia and the consolidation of power by the Crown Prince. What say you?
Well, certainly today there is going to be a move to err on the side of higher oil prices with regard to the uncertainty coming out of all of the news coming from Saudi Arabia. Let's keep in mind this consolidation started to begin at the beginning of the summer with the frayed relationships between the other Sunni power, Qatar, in the region, and now this just goes ahead and puts it on another higher level. So uncertainty is going to lead traders to err towards the higher side. We also have to keep in mind, Stuart, that oil prices, particularly gasoline prices, have been moving steadily higher since all of the disruptions in the Gulf of Mexico from, let's say, the busiest hurricane season since 2005. So we have logistics, we have infrastructure plays that are being supportive of prices. So it's a combination of some fundamental events that demand for gasoline is very high at a time when refinery throughput is very low. That's a very seasonal impact, and that's certainly supportive of prices.
Wait a second, Stephen. Wait a second. You make your money by forecasting prices. So you got to forecast them for us. Is the price of oil going to hit $60 a barrel? Is gasoline in America regular going to hit $2.75 a gallon?
In the short term, certainly $60 is a potential. We could potentially hit it. I don't see us staying there. The caveats here, Stuart, are that speculators, Wall Street, have never been more bullish. So they've taken a huge gamble. They have cleared the decks, and they've gone all in on higher oil prices. So if they begin to bail, we'll see a retrenchment. More importantly, what these higher oil prices are going to do is twofold. It's going to allow producers, U.S. producers, to reset their hedges and sell their production forward, so we could look forward to more U.S. production coming on in the new year. And also, more importantly, in the elasticity of demand. Oil is not demand inelastic as it was before. Consumers, thanks to substitutes, think electric vehicles, or do not respond the way they have in the past. So that said, Stuart, I think that $60 answer question, is it potentially possible? In the short term, absolutely. If we get the right kind of headline, can we stay there? No, I don't see us staying there. I see us retrenching back to the range where we've been for the past 2.5 years. That's right where we are right now in the highs. 55 in the mid-50s, and on the low, high 40s, low 40s.
Okay, we'll take that. Stephen Schork, thank you very much indeed. Zane Tankel still with me. You heard all of this.
I did.
It's actually very good news for American frackers, isn't it?
It is. It sure is. And we're right up there in East Texas. And
yeah, you're drilling in East Texas, aren't you?
We're drooling. But I still think, that being said and everything, is exactly right, but there's also a demand increase because as we build, it's not just automobiles. He's exactly right, I know, but industry, as industry starts churning up again, exactly, growing, and we're still an oil-based industrial complex, as most of the world is.
Well, Zane, I'm very happy that you were born on the poor side of tracks, and I'm very happy that you've made it to the other side of the tracks and a guest on our program. You're obviously doing well, Zane.
Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate it. Thanks, Stuart.
I bet you do. Tankel, you're all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right.